Yo, what's up? Welcome to another stream right here on twitch.tv/blessing jr. Chat, how's it going? How you guys feeling? Venomous CDR says, what's good, chat? How's it going? Dills Nuvis, I see you. What's up? Kalade, what's up? Wonder what Bless's favorite Expedition 33 like is like. Or 33 like is. I saw that conversation going on online of somebody tagged a game and they're like, oh, it looks like the very first Expedition 33 like is in the works. And to be fair, the gameplay I think did give a little bit of Expedition, but like I'd be surprised if that was really the direct inspiration because that game just came out. You know, I don't think we've had enough time for games to be far along whatsoever unless they're just working like crazy over there. And I think that was either a Chinese or a Korean game, I forget which. Unless they got some other stuff, you know, some fucking super game making steroids over there. But the game did look a bit like Expedition, but then people were quick to point out of like, guys, this turn-based system has been here since Persona 5. You know, and they had like a list of games. It was a weird one. It was a really weird one. People will make hubbubs about anything though on the internet, and so it's kind of entertaining to watch sometimes, but then it could be tiring when you think about it beyond the first layer. Really, it's like you should see the Expedition 33 like have just a quick thought of like, oh, peculiar, and then move on with your life. Shadow Trickster says, has there ever been any Sonic RPGs? Yeah, there was a BioWare one called Sonic Chronicles, Sonic the Dark Chronicle, Sonic the Dark Brotherhood. I don't know, Sonic Chronicles the Dark Brotherhood. Thank you, chat. I never played it. I think that was a DS one or a 3DS one. Yeah, Kalade says the conversation was so overblown. It was very clearly a clone of Expedition 33. That's what I thought. Like, I looked at it and I was like, this looks a lot like Expedition 33, which if it's a clone of Expedition 33, then that game is very much like, you know, made up assets at that point, right? Like you in the last, well, I guess it has been about like 8 months or so. Even still, games take time. So like for something to conceptually take inspiration from Expedition 33 does make sense. We can't go, oh, you guys can't call something like Expedition 33 when it looks like Expedition 33. I think it is the term Expedition 33 like set some people off, but also, guys, it's okay. We'll all get through this together. You can calm down. You don't have to post. All right, so we're starting this off with Blessings. Oh, I misnamed the Twitch stream. This is Blessings top 5 RPGs. We did this stream the other day. We did my top 5 Metroidvanias, and through that I learned, because it was supposed to be top 10. Through that I learned that top 5 might actually work better for these conversations. Now, I could easily list my top 10 RPGs, but I do think I want to start with top 5 because I think top 5 makes it more interesting. It's going to be the opposite of the Metroidvania thing, where with the Metroidvania conversation, it was very much a thing of having to like scrounge together a list of Metroidvanias. Here, with my top 5 RPGs, and I should note, these are my top 5 RPGs. These aren't the objective world's top 5 RPGs. These are Blessings' top 5 RPGs that he has played, that he loves, that he cares about. And so some games that are on IGN's list might not make Blessings' list. I can't stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough. This will probably end up being expanded out to 10, but we'll start with 5. Defining RPGs, because I feel like that's a good place to start. What is an RPG? I think an RPG can be defined in a couple of different ways, because you have different kinds of RPGs, whether it be JRPG, Western RPG, turn-based RPG, action RPG, CRPG. There's plenty of different types of RPGs, and even if I try to get into like commonalities between them, we're gonna find something that breaks it. I can say leveling and character specking and all that stuff, and even within that, you can name plenty of games that I wouldn't consider RPGs. So, for the sake of it, Western RPGs, I'm looking at games that have, one, a sort of leveling system that matters for how you're able to play the game, whether that is within action and having different action stats that deeply, note the word deeply, that deeply affect the way you're able to function and play. Along with that, in a Western RPG, I'm looking for social stats. I'm looking for dialogue trees, and dialogue trees can be loose. That's not a strict one. That's kind of a loose one, but I'm looking for dialogue trees. I'm looking for, even beyond the dialogue tree thing, choices that I am making that are affecting the way that my own personal story goes. All right. That's kind of where my starting position is for Western RPGs. We can talk about it as we get deeper about it. JRPGs, a little bit similar. I don't have dialogue and meaningful story choices as part of JRPGs because that's often not the focus of JRPGs. I do still have stats. I think stats becomes way more of a major thing as far as how you are speccing out your party and how you're able to level up different roles within a party where you might have a healer, you might have somebody who's a tank, you might have an attacker, all that shit, right? Those stats mattering to how you're able to progress. And so you should be on an adventure in a JRPG where at some point your progress is hindered because you're not high enough level and you need to go back and grind. That's more of a JRPG thing. JRPG, the stats and decisions are way more in like the combat, and then you have like an overarching story above that. Western RPGs are way more like, I think the stats kind of can affect more of like the social conversational roles. I guess to give examples, in Outer Worlds or in Avowed, you might have engineering, you might have charisma, you might have guns, you might have melee weapons, right? So your stats can affect combat, but your stats can also affect other ways in which you might approach an RPG. On the flip side, a Pokemon, right? Pokemon is probably the most bare, easy, I guess, like, it's like baby's first RPG, JRPG is Pokemon, right? Like kind of the bare essentials there. You have a party of characters that are kind of fulfilling different roles for your team as you go off on an adventure. You level them as you go. If you go into an area that is too high level for you, it'll kick your ass until you level up. These aren't clean definitions, but I don't think you can make a clean definition. We get into CRPGs, which I think fit more within the Western RPG conversation. You have action RPGs as well, and that fits, I don't want to say fits within JRPGs because I wouldn't even say that, but you can have action RPGs that kind of like, I guess do kind of like might place themselves into either the JRPG mold a little bit in the case of a Nier Automata, which is, I wouldn't say is a JRPG, but has elements of that. You might have a, what was the game I was thinking of just now? Not Elden Ring. Although Elden Ring might be a good example of something. Oh, Diablo actually was exactly what I was thinking of and I lost it. Thank you, Waffle on the Run. ARPG, still an RPG, kind of its own thing. I don't have any ARPGs on my list, so I'm not even gonna bother wasting time trying to define a Diablo-like ARPG. I think from here, I'll just start listing my own, what's on my list for sure. Oh, and we get into an interesting place because I do like RPGs a lot. I'm gonna write down, oof. Let's start with Elden Ring. Elden Ring, I think, is an easy one. Elden Ring, I think, is a good contender for number 1 on the list. Elden Ring, when you talk about the RPG isms of Elden Ring, you're talking about the builds and how every player of Elden Ring, like, oh my god, one of my favorite gaming moments, one of my favorite gaming zeitgeists was the Elden Ring zeitgeist. When Elden Ring was fresh on the scene for the first few months, and you would start to see people get high level in Elden Ring, and they would start to share builds. And you would even see people start to get creative with their builds to where they would have a Will Smith build that would just go around slapping people. They would have like a One Punch Man build. They would have their favorite anime character that they would recreate in Elden Ring. It's the different builds and the different kind of, and like, that's one part of it that I fucking love. Another part of it that I do love is the open exploration of Elden Ring and how much they nailed that. And I'm somebody who, you've heard me talk about it before, how much I love Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. And the big part of that is the exploration that they let you do in that game, which you might have to have a conversation about Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and whether that's an RPG. I feel like if Elden Ring's an RPG, then Zelda, Breath of the Wild should be an RPG, but we'll have that conversation in a second. Elden Ring does that, I think, probably just as good, if not even in some ways even better than Breath of the Wild, just by virtue of how many unique things you can run into in Elden Ring and how endless it feels and how awe-inspiring the views, the vistas, the new discoveries can be within Elden Ring. Oh, Elden Ring could be number one on this list. Probably will be number one on this list. To bring up Zelda Breath of the Wild, chat, do you guys consider Breath of the Wild / Tears to be an RPG? I view it as the same genre for the most part as Elden Ring. But I think the difference is the leveling. Elden Ring has explicit, like, you will level in this game. You're putting stats into certain things, and that'll lock you out of other things, which I think might be the main thing that will keep Elden Ring in this list and might keep Breath of the Wild out of this list, is that you kind of have a form of leveling in like the most recent Zelda games, but that's through gear. And they don't lock you out of anything. I think that's really the big thing, is they don't really lock you out of anything in Zelda. So I probably won't put it in this conversation, because I think that kind of disqualifies Zelda in terms of RPG mechanics. You know, you have quests, you have kind of a form of leveling, you have all that stuff, but you're not really making a decision there. And maybe there's a conversation that, like, on the JRPG side, are you making decisions like that? But I think to some extent, yes. When you're talking about abilities, it's a weird thing. We'll move off of Breath of the Wild. Ooh. Okay, from here. Persona, and the question is which Persona? Because part of me wants to put Persona 4 Golden, but I do think about being real. Persona 5 Royal is my choice. I think letting time sit with it a bit, because when I first played Persona 5, I didn't like it as much as Persona 4 Golden, and then I played it again via Persona 5 Royal, and Royal not only smoothed over any of the issues I had with Persona 5, it also kind of cemented how much I care about this world and these characters in this style of game. There's also Persona 3 Reload, which I don't know if I'll put in this conversation, but it's definitely an incredible RPG. Oh, and there is Metaphori Fantasia, which we should come back around to. Persona 5 Royal, I think, just has... it added in those extra storylines that I really cared about. And it just added in a lot more. And it had fantastic music. Yeah, I think it's Persona 5 Royal. Honestly, I have half a mind to put Persona 5 Royal above Elden Ring for RPG. I think I just connect with that story and those characters way more, while loving that gameplay loop so much. I mean, these are opposite games in a lot of ways, which is tough for an RPG list since I'm not separating out like action and turn-based and stuff. I might revisit this, but we're going to keep it. Actually, no, we're going to put Persona 5 Royal above Elden Ring. I'm going to put Persona 5 Royal above Elden Ring. Okay. From here, I gotta put Fallout 3 on the list. I hope it sticks. It'll probably stick. Fallout 3. Oh, fuck. Y'all just reminded me of another game. I'll get to that in a second. Fallout 3 was special to me. I think that world, as far as like big, like important RPG worlds to exist in video games, Fallout 3 I think is the most unique and interesting. I love the post-apocalyptic setting. I love what they do with it. I love the goofiness of it. I like how Fallout 3 hit in 2008, correct me if I'm wrong about that year. But when it hit the scene, I feel like what it did as far as explorable worlds and like the dynamic of that world, exploding megaton, all that shit meant something at the time. Nowadays, it's a bit quaint, but at the time, I think it was something really neat and special. And I know a lot of people would go New Vegas. Hell yeah, 2008. I know a lot of people would go New Vegas. Shadow Trickster, I will time you out. Were you the one the other day when we were talking about Metroidvanias who's bringing up fucking Hitman? Because I'll come for you. Fallout 3 is special. Okay, from here we just gotta start typing out games. Because Cyberpunk is on the list. Cyberpunk might be high on the list. Cyberpunk might be above Fallout 3 for me. And also, Disco Elysium's on the list. Disco Elysium might also be above Fallout 3. Actually, no, is it? There's no way it's above Fallout 3 for me. But it's on the list. There's a chance that this is the list. But I want to sit with it for a little bit. Somebody says Mass Effect 2. I really dug Mass Effect 1. I'm still halfway through Mass Effect 2. I don't think it's hitting for me as much as I would have liked Mass Effect to be hitting, and I think part of that is just time, even though I'm playing the Legendary Edition. Mass Effect is like, it's a weird one. I think it is the old game is old kind of thing, even though I'm enjoying it. Even though whenever I pick up Mass Effect, I enjoy it. But yeah, like, it's not there for me. It's not there. Really like Mass Effect 1 though. And Web Swam in chat says, does Mass Effect 1 still hold up? Yes. I think Mass Effect 1 holds up. Oh, Nier Automata. Nier Automata. Fuck. See, now we're in a weird place. Am I a Witcher guy? Not really. I've tried Witcher 3 twice. It didn't stick with me. I got respect for Witcher 3 though. But like, if it's not clear from the list that I already have here, fantasy RPGs can be a bit rough as far as resonating with me. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3, by the way. Baldur's Gate 3 is an honorable mention. That's another game that I never finished, but I have mad love for, because from what I played of it, I think that game is incredible. I think that game is really impressive. I think that game has great writing. I think that game has great RPG mechanics. Somebody says Clair Obscure. I'm gonna write down Clair Obscure, though Clair Obscure is not gonna be top 5. It's not gonna be top 5, but I'll write it down. Oh fuck. We gotta write down Pokemon. See, this is gonna turn into a top 10. I'm gonna try and narrow this down to 5, but I feel like I'm gonna be forced to turn this into a top 10. I'm gonna say Pokemon or Gold. Actually, if I'm saying top, no, for me it's Blue. I just have the nostalgia for Blue. For Blue. Ooh. Where do I go from here? Final Fantasy VII. But like remake or rebirth? I think it's rebirth. No, I think it's remake. I think the moments that remake has are a bit more, how do I put this? I think the stretch of Final Fantasy VII that's in remake, there's something about that stretch compared to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth stretch that I find more enticing and more exciting to even think about. But I guess when I think of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think Rebirth had moments that hit harder. Fuck, it might be Rebirth. The problem with Rebirth is that Rebirth has too much fucking bloat. The open world bloat in that game kind of sucks. And I say this as somebody who, for the first half of playing Rebirth, was 100%ing that game, which actually might say something. That actually might work in its favor. I was 100%ing Rebirth until I got halfway through and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I need to like shake myself out of this trance and beat this game so I can review it and also move on with my life. Actually, should I do Rebirth? Somebody says, nah, the bloat is the game. I mean, but if you're saying that the bloat is I guess honest to Final Fantasy VII, then like maybe that's a problem with Final Fantasy VII. I don't know. But like Remake didn't have as much of that shit, which I think is nice. But if I were to talk to you right now about my favorite parts, actually this is a good experiment. If I'm to talk to you right now about my favorite parts of the Final Fantasy VII Remake games, I would tell you about the plate falling and like Barrett looking for his daughter. I'll tell you about I'll tell you about like Red 13, like parts in Remake or parts in Rebirth with Red 13. I will tell you about the opening of Remake. I'll tell you about that. So that's another in favor of Remake. I would probably tell you about Aerith in Rebirth and how they handle Aerith stuff. I would probably talk to you about Barrett has some like really good moments in Rebirth. Fuck. For now, this is what I'm gonna do for now. This is cheating. Maybe these will end up as 2 different entries. I'm gonna come back to this. Now, where do we go from here? Somebody says God of War. God of War is not an RPG by any means. Modern God of War has RPG mechanics. We're not calling it an RPG. I'm not doing that. Somebody says gameplay wise, I'll probably suggest Rebirth just because of the party synergies. I do like the party synergies, but I feel like that's such a minute upgrade. Like the combat systems are basically the same in my eyes. Like, yeah, the synergy stuff was added, but it's not like that was game changing in my opinion. Sundead says Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud, I love Dark Cloud. It's not in my top 5, or I guess 10 in this case. I know for a fact I'm missing some shit. Okay, let me think this through. What other RPGs am I missing? I'm gonna write down. This is gonna be. Oh, well, here's chat. Is Undertale an RPG? I think Undertale is an RPG. Right? Are we calling Undertale an RPG? Absolutely. Everybody's saying yes. Then Undertale will fuck. Undertale's probably. Y'all gonna hate me for this. You guys are gonna hate me for this. Undertale might be like right here for me. But we're gonna come back around to it. Because this might be a top 10. In fact, I'm just gonna say it right now. It's my top 10. This is my top 10. I was trying to limit it to 5 because of how the Metroidvania list went. All right, let me think through this more. And here's the problem with the list, right? You guys are gonna keep shouting out games that I've not played or I don't have like as much of a connection with. And so yeah, I don't have any Chrono Trigger and I don't have any Dragon Quest on my list. Mainly because I have played some Chrono Trigger, but like I just don't have the same connection with it. And Dragon Quest, same thing. Does Deus Ex get a shout out? I mean, yeah, shout out Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. But no, they're not gonna. I love those games. They're not gonna be on here. Earthbound. It's more of a maybe jog your memory. Oh, I see. No harm, no foul. Earthbound though, it's not on this list. There's nothing I would bounce off this list to put Earthbound in there. I should make it clear. This list isn't all the way in order either. If I'm gonna start ordering this, I guess the top ones are in order. Nier Automata is going above that. Pokemon Blue is going. Fuck. This might be in my top RPGs list. This might be the ordering currently. All right. Am I missing anything? No Starfield, no. I do have hold on, let me look up my list of like my favorite games. because I do have my list written down. I think I might have hidden it by now, but I gotta see if there's any RPGs on that list that I'm forgetting. Again, it feels weird, Breath of the Wild not being on it, but after talking about it, yeah, I don't think I would call it an RPG. I think if I wanted to really make the argument, I could make the argument, but I'm not as passionate about calling Zelda Breath of the Wild an RPG. Here's the thing. If we're going 10, then Persona 4 Golden is going on the list. If we're going 10, Persona 4 Golden will be on this list. Are there any other... Oh, also, fuck, did I... Hold on. Because we might... Fuck. Shout out Live Alive. I don't know if Live Alive's gonna make it. Shout out Live Alive. Oh, and Metaphor. Fuck. Hold on. We'll order this in a second. Let me just look. Let me look at this list. I think we got... I don't know if we're gonna get better than what I got here. I don't know if I'm gonna get better than what I have here. Oh wait, I forgot that there are more. Am I? Oh, fuck. Is Bloodborne an RPG? I guess Bloodborne is an RPG. That's a weird one. Bloodborne is an RPG though. Here, I'm gonna keep writing things down because Bloodborne is here. I should also write down Final Fantasy 16 because I forgot that other Final Fantasies exist. That's not gonna make the list, but I gotta write it down just to shout it out. You know what? Also shout out. Not gonna make the list, but Nier Replicant. Shout out Nier Replicant. I don't know if Prey is an RPG. Shout out Prey. These are now. I'm not even writing RPGs anymore. We're losing the plot. Shout out 13 Sentinels. All right, some of these are getting deleted. These are getting deleted. So 13 Sentinels is not gonna be there. Prey is not gonna be there. Nier Replicant is not gonna be there. Let's be real. Final Fantasy 16 is not gonna be there. Oh, Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is not on the list for me. But shout out Kingdom Hearts. Shout out Kingdom Hearts. Elder Scrolls. I like Elder Scrolls, specifically Skyrim. Specifically Skyrim, I do like. But it wouldn't be in my top 10. Lies of P. See, I feel like there's a point where we get so many Souls likes that it's not even an RPG list anymore. I feel like once I add Liza P, excuse me, I think if I'm making an RPG list, part of what I need to prioritize is how good is this game at being an RPG. And I don't think Liza P is necessarily great at being an RPG. I think it's great at being a Souls-like, and it's great at being an action game, and it's great at being like, it's great at having a fantastic story, but I don't think it's great at being an RPG. I think Elden Ring for sure is great at being an RPG. Bloodborne, pretty good at being an RPG. But like, you know, if I add Liza P, Liza P is literally the only RPG. If I add Liza P, and it's like, then it's like, all right, then let me just fucking throw in fucking Stellar Blade and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Fuck it. Let's put on Armored Core on this. Like, we gotta draw the line. Oh, real Pinocchio game, I see. Tossing DMC5 up in here. Bloodborne. I'm not even like totally sold on Bloodborne on the list. On my favorite games list, yes. On the top RPGs list, I don't know. Have I played Earthbound? I have played Earthbound. It won't be. It's not on the list. Okay, so let's start weeding through these. I think the really tough thing I have to do, I don't think Clair Obscur is going to make it for me. I don't think Bloodborne makes it. I think if this is like my favorite game list, yes. But I think top RPGs, I don't think Bloodborne makes it. As much as I love Live Alive. Live Alive, I almost want to put on there as just like a big shout out of like, yo, my number 10, Live Alive. Just to let people know that I know ball. Just to let people know. Sundead, Far Cry is not an RPG. Live Alive is a good ass game. But then it's like, if I'm being more honest to myself, Metaphor is on there. Metaphor is on there above Live Alive. Persona 4 Golden, I should also separate out Rebirth and Remake. I think I need to separate out Rebirth and Remake. Because if I do that, then why aren't I doing Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5, you know? So let's sift through this. Persona 5 Royal sitting at number 1 feels right to me. Elden Ring at number 2 feels right to me. In fact, Cyberpunk, we got to put some respect on motherfucking Cyberpunk 2077. That's top 3. I got half of mine to put Cyberpunk above these two. That's how much I love Cyberpunk 2077. For the record, I'm not going to, but like, I have half of mine to do that. This top 3 is locked to me, followed by Undertale and Fallout 3, lock. Followed by Nier Automata, lock. Does Nier Automata have the same issue though that I'm talking about with Liza P? What are the RPG mechanics of Nier Automata? I mean, you level up in that game. You do, I think you don't really do speccing necessarily. Chat, is Nier Automata an RPG? You do make choices. You do have the chips. The chips kind of do function as like speccing your character, and you do have to like really make heavy choices about how you want your character to play. So that does lean toward the RPG side of things. Waffle on the Ren says, I just don't know what other category it goes in. Is Nier Automata an RPG? It's the age-old question. We're looking up gameplay. I feel like if I look up gameplay, it's really going to actually fuck. Like, there's nothing about looking at Nier Automata's gameplay that would make you go, yeah, this is an RPG. But like, I wouldn't call it a character action game either. I think it is an action RPG. I couldn't tell you why though, aside from you level up and there are chips. But the gameplay of Nier Automata, here's the thing though. In a really weird way, chat, Nier Automata and Undertale have a lot in common. As far as like them being light RPGs. Because in the same way that we're talking about like leveling up and like, you know, but it's an action game or whatever, Undertale is kind of the same way. Like Undertale, you go into the fights and it's like turn-based, but it's not turn. You then enter a bullet hell. Like both of these games are in function like partly bullet hell games. They turn into bullet hell games. And then Nier Automata will turn into Devil May Cry. And then you go back and you're like, I guess you're doing side quests and stuff. Nier Automata does have like a quest system that is very RPG-like in nature. We're gonna keep it. So yes, Undertale, Fallout 3, Nier Automata, Pokemon is here. It's around number 8 where things start to get interesting. I think Disco Elysium needs to be on here. I think a Final Fantasy needs to be on here. And it might be Rebirth. It might be Rebirth. I think it might be Rebirth. And then out of these bottom 4, I'm leaning Metaphor. And maybe it's just that I don't want to double up. Maybe it's like the not wanting to double up in me, because like Persona 4 Golden is a game that means a whole lot to me. But there's something to Metaphor that I'm gravitating to. The combat in Metaphor is fucking so good. The dungeon I really like the dungeon crawling in Metaphor. But then I think about Live Alive, and I'm like, listen, if I put Live Alive on my list, you know I know ball. You know what I mean? It's one of them ones. It's like, oh shit, this motherfucker has Live Alive. Shit, all right, he must know. He must know what he's talking about. No, I think I'm gonna go Metaphor. I think Metaphor feels right. Damn, it hurts to make these cuts. And the archetypes, yeah, no, the archetype system. Yeah, no, it has to be Metaphor with the archetype system. All right, this is Blessing's list. What does this say about me, chat? What does this top 10 say about me? I guess it says that I like JRPGs, but it's a good mixture actually, because it's not just how many JRPGs? I have one. I guess we can count Rebirth as a JRPG. So let's say 1, 2, I guess Royal 3. Did I do that right? Persona 5 Royal, Pokemon Blue 2, Final Fantasy 4. So we got 4 JRPGs, and then like we have Elden Ring as a Souls-like. We have Nier Automata as another action game. And then for like Western, we have Cyberpunk, and we have Fallout. And we have Disco Elysium kind of. And then we have Undertale as like a weird indie thing. I feel like this is very representative of me. I feel good about this list, chat. I think we're gonna call it there. These are my top 10 RPGs with an honorable mention to Baldur's Gate 3, because I know if I beat Baldur's Gate 3, it will be on this list. Although, when I look at this list, I'm not actually as sure. I thought for sure, yeah, if I beat Baldur's Gate 3, it'll be in my top 10 RPG list. But looking at this list, I don't know. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. Metaphor ReFantazio is a good-ass game. But one day I will. Hopefully soon I'll beat Baldur's Gate 3. Anyway, chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you're on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the chat, what are your top 10 RPGs? Until next time, it's been a pleasure. Peace.